what we know is that Bayern Munich are very, very interested, and we, as you've just said, we know about this meeting now, but there was no bids, no prices talked about, no structures talked about. Tottenham's stance remains he is not for sale. Tottenham do not want to sell him. I think eyebrows maybe have raised a little with people that the meeting has taken place, because as it stands, Tottenham haven't really overly acknowledged any bids from Bayern Munich and telling us that they've received no official bids. And I mean, what is official in this day and age? But look, what we do know for certain is that Harry Kane will travel with the squad tonight. He's held a very good meeting with Ange Postecoglou. He enjoyed what he heard. When he returned on Wednesday, he's asked the players their thoughts, and they were all very encouraged. So, yeah, he goes to Perth later this evening with his Tottenham teammates ahead of a pre-season tour, but I'm sure Bayern Munich won't be going away.
What about Bayern Munich then? And do they really think they can get him, Carvey?
Look, I think they must have had some encouragement that there is a possibility that they may be able to sign Harry Kane this summer. I think it is going to be extraordinarily difficult for them because Daniel Levy does not want to sell Harry Kane. And there's been absolutely no indication from Kane himself that he wants to leave Spurs. He hasn't come out and said that at all. But you have to think that behind the scenes, Bayern Munich must have been told something that has encouraged them to carry on this pursuit, because otherwise they wouldn't be wasting their time. And it has to be said, this meeting that happened yesterday, that shows that Bayern are doing things the right way. They have respect for Spurs. There are good relations between the two clubs. So they haven't given up on it. But I think it's impossible for this to happen unless Harry Kane comes out and says, I want to leave Spurs, I want to go to Bayern Munich. And there's no indication that he's going to do that. And also, I think, because Bayern are just not offering enough. £70 million is not going to be enough to buy the England captain, somebody with an extraordinary scoring record, one of the best strikers in the history of football. £70 million is nowhere near enough. But Bayern, as I said, they must have had some kind of encouragement behind the scenes. And obviously Thomas Tuchel being the manager there, he's one of the people who's really driving this effort to try and sign Harry Kane. One other player, of course, that Bayern are trying to sign as well, driven by Thomas Tuchel, is Kyle Walker, the Manchester City and England defender. Now, Sky Germany and Sky Italy, just in the past hour, reporting that they believe that Kyle Walker actually does want to move to Bayern Munich, and that Bayern Munich are increasingly confident that they will be able to sign him. But again, there's been no comment from the player, no steer from Manchester City that he's going to be leaving. He's still got another year left on his contract. I think Manchester City would want him to stay. And you'd have to think, why would somebody want to leave Manchester City at the moment, considering how well they're doing on and off the pitch?
I want to come back in with you there, Michael. As Carvey said there, you know, we haven't heard from Kane. We have heard from both clubs. If he does come out and speak, it's going to be a long journey home. It's very far from home if you're out in Australia and commenting on your future, if it is anything negative. But at some point, he's going to be interviewed. At some point, he's going to be asked questions. What do you expect him to say?
I think the feeling I get from Harry Kane is if Tottenham don't accept any bid, he'll be happy to start and continue the season with Tottenham. As I say, he was encouraged by what he heard from Ange Postecoglou. I was at the press conference on Monday with Postecoglou, and it was all very positive. And I'm hearing that players have really enjoyed the first couple of weeks under the new head coach. But if Bayern did come in with an offer that Tottenham would have to consider, then I do believe, as Carvey said, Harry Kane would probably like to speak to Bayern Munich, because there's no way Bayern Munich would keep carrying on with this interest. Just for me, the bids Bayern have put in so far, from what I know about Daniel Levy and how much he values Harry Kane, it's currently nowhere near. And that's probably why they've not really acknowledged the opening bids. I think it's going to be very different this time. 2 years ago, we were sitting here all together talking about Harry Kane wanting to go to Manchester City. And of course, he looked at Jack Grealish a few weeks before that, and Manchester City paying that 100 million release clause. I don't think this will be different. I firmly believe this will be different. Of course, it's a risk. You have people asking me all the time, and colleagues, why doesn't Daniel Levy consider this offer? Because next summer he will be out of contract. But Tottenham will not consider anything around 70 million. I don't think they'll consider 80. 90 maybe. but they still put him in that 100 odd million bracket, I feel, and they won't consider anything much less. The worry really is that Premier League clubs, and Harry Kane can speak to literally anybody next season. What Daniel Levy doesn't want is to sell Harry Kane to another Premier League club. Of course, next summer, it's not down to Spurs or Daniel Levy, it's down to Harry Kane.
And there was a good story actually yesterday, I think, in the Telegraph by Matt Law, who said that Spurs may be working on offering Harry Kane a new contract which would see him get a big pay rise, but also there would be the possibility of him being involved at the club once he's retired. So when he stops playing, he may be involved, as a coach, learning the ropes to become a manager, or even something like a sporting director, moving upstairs, where we've seen Mark Noble, for instance, at West Ham do that. So that could be another possibility for Harry Kane. And of course, that would mean that he would stay at Tottenham for the whole of his career. And even after he's retired, he would still have a job and a role at the club.
Very rare being a one-club man. Do you think that is what's going to happen, or do you think another club now could sort of enter this? Over 100 million they're going to have to spend if that's what Daniel Levy wants. Any other clubs out there that you feel?
Well, I think there are a lot of clubs out there who would want him, but I think they're all aware of how difficult it would be to sign him. For instance, I know Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United would love to have Harry Kane at Old Trafford, but currently they don't have the finances to be able to do that deal. He's also been linked with a move to PSG. Again, I think PSG would love to have Harry Kane playing for them, but currently they're not in a state where they would be able to afford him. I think that might change if Kylian Mbappe leaves this summer, if he moves to Real Madrid and they get £150 million for him. I think then they may look to make a big marquee signing like Harry Kane. But at the moment, no indication that PSG are in a position to be able to sign Kane.